it is like the throwback pre July 2020, 1 hour of Hake. 1 hour of Hake, guys. It is 9:57 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time, only 56 minutes late getting started with our stream. It is Friday, the 23rd of July, the year of our Lord, 2021. And yes, indeed, happy White History Month. JLP just completed an excellent interview. We're going to get it set up so we don't have to, I don't have to start all late anytime he does an interview inside his own studio. So guys, I have a hand-picked, heart-picked, beautiful last two songs of the 90-Pound Wuss album from 1999, Shorthand Operation. And this track that I want to play for you, I would like to share with you, is only 3 minutes long, although it feels longer than that. It's called Second Stage of Adolescence. Fret not, I will talk you through it, and I will be getting to your calls, guys, and I have some fun stuff to cover. Enjoy, and check this out. Hake on CP time, says Cheesehead69. Thank you for the super chat, man.
Revisiting former frames of mind I've had. There's nothing less responsible than this. Cash hand, backhand, slap in the face. I want something more real!
That's not Jeff Suffering's voice. This one is. Christians. These are Christians.
A new form of intoxication. I have something more real. I am the starving hope. I am a abandonment book. Then why don't you take it all away from them? My disgrace only weighs us into faith in a world filled with democracy.
We are all suffering. This music is in Hake's head all day, says John Chavez. The melody of angels. That bass slaps.
Am I the only one left alone, playing on that one-pitch nerve? Is there anything substantial with some consistency at all? I'm impaling my own breath. I'm impaling my own breath. I'm impaling my own breath. I'm wishing I wash it away tonight. I'm impaling my own breath. I'm impaling my own breath. I'm wishing I'd wash it away tonight. I'm wishing I'd wash it away tonight. I'm wishing I'd wash it away tonight. I'm wishing I'd wash it away tonight.
That is a passionate Christian. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Let's get right on with the show!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, talking about vaccine questions that I'd all disavow. A GQ throwback downplaying the Bible. Joe Biden grinning like a sex cat. And Antifa and communist kids.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. I am wearing a throwback version of the Great White Hope t-shirt. It was a prototype, an early prototype, with Donald Trump, a graphic of Donald J. Trump's excellent Twitter profile pic, now defunct Twitter profile pic. Thank you for joining me. I will be taking your calls. Some of you guys already calling in. 888-775-3773. I was reading to you guys in Hake News at the end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today about a nonprofit organization called Frontline Doctors. Frontline Doctors. It seems to be mostly like women-led, so I'm a little bit leery, but and actually one of them was like an African doctor woman. Remember that African doctor woman who talked about, she was all pro-Trump, talking about some drug that is all politicized because Trump was promoting it too, and she was very leery about the narrative about the China virus, right? Well, America's Frontline Doctors on July 19th, I told you guys in Hake News that they're suing for a court injunction against this what do they call it? The Emergency Use Authorization of these vaccines. They don't like the vaccines. These America's Frontline Doctors nonprofit organization activists. And I told you they're suing Javier Becerra, who's I told you he's an anchor baby, son of an anchor baby, Mexican. Sacramento born, though. He is the former attorney general for California, a sleazy person, a Democrat. And now he's the secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services for sleazy Joe Biden. And they say that the emergency declaration and its multiple renewals are illegal, and they want relief, especially for 18-year-olds. Three groups: 18-year-olds, anyone under 18, anyone who's recovered from the China virus, and those who haven't been given informed consent, or haven't given informed consent, right? Because you give consent, and you have to be informed first, right? As defined by federal law. And I didn't read this part. The CDC data say that over 10,000 breakthrough infections have happened from January through April, according to the CDC data, 14 days or more after the vaccination. A breakthrough infection is when you get it after you have one of these full so-called vaccinations. It's important to note the vaccines were only shown to reduce symptoms, not block transmission. Yeah, you'll have lighter symptoms. That's something that Joe Biden has said himself at that town hall, that goofy town hall I hear. They assert benefits don't outweigh the risks. Everybody says, oh, the benefits outweigh the risks. But these activists say that that's not true. And they say reproductive health, and that's actual reproductive health. That's not ability to kill your baby. That's ability to stifle the making of a baby. Reproductive health means ability to make a baby or have a baby, right? Potential death, neurological damage, and more virulent strains. Interesting, huh? They say CDC data indicates that children under 18, minors, right, have a 99.998% China virus recovery rate with no treatment. Injecting this under 18 subpopulation with the vaccines threatens them with immediate, potentially life-threatening harm in certain cases. And that has happened on occasion, even with people who are pro the vaccine. There have been people who are very pro-vax, but they're concerned about certain instances, very rare. There is no public interest, they say. Dr. Angelina Farella, who's a pediatrician who's practiced for 25 years. She said there's no public interest in subjecting children to what she calls experimental vaccination programs to protect them from a disease that does not particularly threaten them. And it also their complaint also cites this Cleveland Clinic study that demonstrates natural immunity through prior infection is stronger than any benefit conferred by the vaccines. That's what they say, per a Cleveland Clinic study. Another study published by New England Journal of Medicine shows those with pre-existing China virus immunity, 89% reported adverse side effects after receiving the first vaccine infection. Which most people do have some sort of adverse side effect from it. I think you're kind of supposed to. It's like built in. But anyway, this expert, Dr. Richard Urso, said in a statement, China virus recovered patients, he called it COVID, are at extremely high risk to a vaccine, he says. They have the requisite components of immune memory. Vaccination may activate a hyperimmune response leading to a significant tissue injury and possibly death. Yeah, I know a young woman, relatively young, who had the virus, it messed her up, and then she got the vaccine and it messed her up again. Man, she was out for like 10 days, I forget which time, and then 3 more days, I forget which time. Crazy, huh? But she still got it, she's a teacher. And there's a whistleblower testimony, a Jane Doe. There's this woman, and she's making the claim, I can neither confirm nor deny. It's a woman. Women are often militant pro-vax or anti-vax, but they're militant either way. Tend to go a little overboard either way, honestly. But she's a computer programmer, this woman. Jane Doe is just a reference for the ESL people, English as a second language people. A Jane Doe is a person who wishes to remain anonymous, but she still wants to be a witness, an expert witness, right? A whistleblower. A computer programmer with expertise in the healthcare data analytics field. She filed a sworn statement indicating the actual number of deaths following the vaccination. She claims 45,000. I think the official number is what, 10,000 or something? Is it 10,000? She says it's maybe, oh no, on July 9th, there were 9,048 deaths reported in VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. It's a passive system run by the FDA and the CDC, right? And patients and doctors can report through this system. She claims that the VAERS database, while extremely useful, is underreported by a conservative factor of at least 5, she claims in her statement. By at least 5. The true number of vaccine-related deaths, she claims, would be at least 45,000. But that's her math. She noted that the swine flu vaccine, by the way, swine flu took place under the Obama administration, and it was taken off the market. The vaccine was taken off the market because of 53 deaths reported following vaccination. The evidence makes it irrefutable that plaintiffs and others in the public will suffer irreparable injury if the motion is denied, the plaintiffs claim. Finally, the evidence tilts to the balance of hardships and public interest decision in favor of the plaintiffs. We'll see what happens. I really doubt that they'll be successful. They've been pretty successfully marginalized by the mainstream media, America's Frontline Doctors, that is, labeled as kooks and all that mess. So I don't know. But that's just an update on that. Before I get to calls, I have to show you this GQ throwback. By the way, there was talk of special treatment. Shout out to Big Bump for the tip. Big Bump sent me this article, and it was actually a pro football talk on NBC Sports. It was a short little, oh, here's this idea type of editorial, if you will, or op-ed, little thing, suggestion. But it was published on NBC Sports. The NFL should offer to suspend marijuana testing for players who get so-called vaccinated. What? Special treatment. And it was suggested by this guy named Mike Florio. Mike Florio, who's a television host, TV host, 56 years old, male. Is that an Italian last name? Might be. But this guy, he's all, Oh, yeah. To truly end the pandemic with minimal additional serious illnesses and deaths, everyone should get vaccinated. Plenty of NFL players continue to resist. And I wonder what the risk is of NFL players getting it. Oh, what a mess. Here's an idea that would get plenty of them to get the shots now. Offer to suspend marijuana testing for any player who has been so-called vaccinated. Should have been made a month ago. Because they get an annual substance abuse test. And so they're tested for whether they've been taking marijuana. And so let them have their marijuana. What a mess. I thought this was about public health. Terrible. I will be reading your super chats, guys, but special treatment. It's kind of like giving the donuts to the vaccinated people. Krispy Kreme wanted to do that. Anyway, here's a GQ throwback. I have to share this with you. I mentioned it in the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And then after I take a caller for you, I have some ridiculous clips that make evil seem all soft and nice and womanly. But I came across this from looking at some throwback episodes of Jesse Lee Peterson interviewing these different pastors on God's Learning channel. We've been putting them out. You may have seen one premiere on the Jesse Lee Peterson channel yesterday afternoon, evening. Interviewed a white woman pastor. Well, there's an upcoming one where he interviews this one pastor, and I Googled this one pastor and looked him up on Facebook, and I found him. And he's still a pastor to this day in Texas. And he posted this back in 2018. He's not very active.
To this day.
Yeah, he's still active, but he's not very active as on Facebook. And he shared this quote that caught my eye. And this is a quote that is mildly shocking, repetitive, self-contradictory, sententious, foolish. And he says, that's a quote from GQ magazine. GQ used to be, oh, Chris, you're looking very GQ today. As in, that used to be you look handsome. You look like a man. Like a well put together man. Gentleman's Quarterly, I learned, is what that's short for. Gentleman's Quarterly. It's a magazine, supposed to be for men. Liberal males. And that's GQ on explaining why the Bible is on its list of books that you don't need to read. Wow. And sententious, I had to look that up, given to moralizing in a pompous or affected manner, as in phony. The Bible doesn't do that. So that person who wrote this is projecting. And so it made a few headlines back in 2018 when this thing came out. A little bit of white history. And instead, they recommended a book called The Notebook. And they put links to Amazon page for Amazon is evil, right? For the books that they're promoting. Very clever and subversive, by the way. And this book, The Notebook, feel like I've heard of it before, is by one author called Agota Christoph. And I look up that name. It's an old woman who's dead. And this suggestion is by a grown male named Jesse Ball. Yeah, look at that. That's what he wants you to read instead of the Bible. And Jesse Ball, I looked him up. He's an Irish-Cicilian, which neither of those people count as normal whites. He's author of this book called The Census. He's in his early 40s or something, and he posts little sketch drawings on his barely active Twitter. And on this elsewhere on this list, they mention Huckleberry Finn. They want to get rid of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, some woman who's a GQ writer and editor. A woman writing for GQ, Katie Weaver, Caity Weaver, replaced Huckleberry Finn with this book by Frederick Douglass talking about supposed crimes by slave owners. And this suggestion by this woman for GQ, replacing Huckleberry Finn with a Frederick Douglass book, literally says, Huckleberry Finn is a classic, by the way. Frederick Douglass, also a classic, but he's like, I don't know, he's considered like a black Republican, but he's more angry than the great Booker T. Washington, apparently. Because this guy, in his book here, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, this guy lists supposed crimes by slave owners, naming them and detailing them. And it literally says it would make their descendants feel ashamed. So this Katie Weaver woman, a white woman supposedly, says their descendants will be embarrassed forever. Talk about hating whites, hating Christians. That's GQ, 21 books you don't have to read. That's their 2018 little article. Just a nice little throwback. CNS News covered it. CNS is part of, they expose the media. They're sort of a right-wing outlet. They've published articles by Jesse Lee Peterson in the past. Sort of a non-partisan, but they're on the conservative side. GQ magazine includes the Bible on don't have to read list, says ABC7. So it made a few headlines, huh? And I look up this guy named Jesse Ball, who made this suggestion. Don't read the Bible, read The Notebook by some woman who's dead. And he is an absurdist, a nihilist. He's written a few books. He went to Columbia University. Again, Irish-Cicilian. Irish people, they have a chip on their shoulder, many of them. And the Sicilians, too, a chip on their shoulder. They're basically Italians. Look at him. Married, divorced, lives with a partner. On the faculty of the School of Art Institute in Chicago, where he teaches courses on lying, ambiguity, dreaming, and walking. So I would guess that he's just trying to get attention. And he got it. He got it. He got a few headlines. And he caught my attention. Absurdist. He's an absurdist, is what they call him. By the way, he also suggested that in an LA Times article, LA Times, far left, enemies of America, LA Times, that American citizens be incarcerated periodically as civic duty, kind of like jury duty. So he just likes to make up nonsensical stuff. So maybe he was just joking. Who knows? I'm going to get to more of this soft evil. One of my Canadian callers called it PG evil. Is this female-minded Satan posing as the angel of light type of evil, pretending that they're good. This effeminate Antifa professor I told you about earlier this week, I got a tip about it. And this feminist boys children's song. Sick. But first, let me get to some calls. We only have an hour, and I've already blown 25 minutes of it. So let me get to Robert. Hey, Robert, in Pasadena, California. What's up, Robert? Long time no hear. How are you?
I'm okay, Hake. How are you?
Doing fine. Man, it seems like it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. I've been meaning to. I wanted to go to the men's forum this month.
Yeah.
I've been working so much, so I haven't been able to get down there. But I will when I can. Nice.
No problem, man. I understand. When I was working a lot at a different location, and sometimes it would be like 6:15, and coming from Pasadena or Temple City or Arcadia area, it can look like there's a lot of traffic. So I understand.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to waste any time.
Yeah.
I'm calling because I was talking with two of my friends who are liberal, and the American Indians came up. And I kind of real confidently was like, oh, I'll defend what happened with the American Indians, what we did with them.
Yeah.
And after they were saying things, I just slowly became speechless. I couldn't really say anything because what happened to them, 50 to 80% died of diseases that Europeans brought over. And
is that a fact?
I mean, that's pretty.
That's what they claim.
I mean, that's pretty standard for historical studies.
I'd never heard that before.
Disease. Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, yeah. If you look up, just do some research about it. Like 50%, 90 to 80% of the Indians, they died
and it's because of viruses that we brought.
Yeah, because we worked with like cows and pigs, and we lived in cities, and we had we built up this immunity to like smallpox and all kinds of stuff. And then
I don't think that we had an immunity to smallpox. We had problems with smallpox too, I think.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but that wasn't intentional.
The Indians, no, it wasn't. But it was the effect of Europeans coming to America. If we had never came to America, then they wouldn't have been dying of those diseases, and we wouldn't have. And also we went to war, and this is I feel less bad about, which is that we went to war with them for their land, which they were doing that to themselves a whole lot.
Right.
But the point is that I'm having trouble reconciling my love for America's colonial history and our frontiersmen and our pioneers and us going out into really completely undeveloped land and building a civilization. I have a love for that.
Yeah.
But I'm having trouble reconciling that with what happened to the American Indians. And I feel
first of all, I don't know that it's 50 to 80%. First of all, that's a wide range. So it seems like they just slapped that number on there and a whole bunch of people repeat it. And when a lot of people repeat it, it sounds more and more like the truth. But it's not necessarily the truth. And second of all, that happens. Like, look at the China virus. If we didn't have globalism, we wouldn't have the worldwide supposed pandemic that we have. But the benefits of globalism outweigh the risks? I don't know. Mm-hmm. The pluses outweigh the minuses about it, right? People are there's always a downside to anything that you do. Yeah. And that's doesn't mean that the whites should not have come just because American Indians, some of them died from diseases that we brought.
Well, one of the biggest things was I said, we went to war with the American Indians for their land, and we bought some land, and a lot of it was
in some cases it was
untaken.
It was retaliation. They were attacking. Certainly. They were aggressors too.
That happened, yes, for sure. But what my friend said, which I kind of didn't have anything to say to, was that doesn't make it right. Just because they were fighting with each other to take land, and then we came in.
It doesn't make it wrong either.
With them to take their land. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But I couldn't defend it. I couldn't say, oh yeah, well therefore it was okay what we did to them.
In all honesty,
that's what they were doing.
In all honesty, it is something that's over and done with. We are not ones to judge because we weren't there. We don't know what happened. There's a whole lot of revisionist history. People make assertions that they don't know. And we have nothing to be ashamed of.
I agree with that.
We've bent over backwards for the American Indians.
That's true, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, if the American Indians defeated us, they wouldn't be getting reservations and money from the tribe, and we wouldn't be getting that. We would be dead. They'd just kill us all.
Right.
Take our women as slaves and stuff.
Yeah. As you know, the Declaration of Independence mentions the merciless Indian savages being used by the king who had no regard for sex, meaning they were women, or age, meaning old and young, or the health of the people. They would kill the sick, and they had no mercy in many cases. They're not necessarily talking about all of them, but they're talking about this was happening. And they want to downplay that and just cast America. I mean, are your friends glad to be in America, or are they not? Maybe they should just get on out of America if they think that they're part of the problem.
Well, they're kind of like transient. They like being in Los Angeles. Like I asked them, I said, well, hey, is there anywhere in America you'd want to go and see? And they couldn't. They gave no answer. They said, no, not really. And I said, well, what? Is there another place in the world you want to see? And they excitedly were like, oh, yeah, I'd love to get drunk in, like, Austria and Korea.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think you're right, Hake, about how we have nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, the Indians were proud of their conquest
right.
of their tribe.
Yeah.
And they were very happy about that.
You'll notice.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that. You'll notice that the only reason whites are getting pushed around is because we act like we have something to be ashamed of, like we can be pushed around, like we want to be nice and please everybody. I'm not necessarily me or you, but in general, whites do have that in them, and whites on the whole in America and around the world are pandering and caving and kissing up to the POCs, and that's why we're being pushed around so much. That's why we're losing our countries.
I agree.
And it's not like we're not. Even back then, I think that we were more just than they're giving us credit for. I'm saying we, but the ancestors, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think for certain. I mean, George Washington said he wanted to, after the war, when he was president, he said he wanted to have, brotherhood and humanity with the tribes. He wanted to treat them well. I mean,
and you know what? These are intellectual arguments that aren't necessarily going to change hearts. You just have to be an example. So don't even fret about it, and don't let them manipulate you emotionally to where you start to feel guilty necessarily. Just stick with what you know, but also have a spirit of love in you, because that's what's really going to turn things around, rather than getting into the swamp with these people, and because they'll have endless arguments. They don't really care about the truth. They just want to get in. People really just like to argue. Their pride puffs up with the knowledge that they think that they have.
Yeah.
You were saying something, I interrupted you. You were talking about how... go on.
Well, I think the big thing is that I'm not, like, ashamed of America's... I think we were actually fair to the Indians. And, I mean, in some instances there, of course, was atrocities committed, but just like how the Indians committed atrocities against others.
Right.
I guess I'm not ashamed of our conquests. I'm not ashamed of the frontier history or the colonialist history of America. I'm proud of that. I'm proud my ancestors were a part of it.
Nice.
I felt bad because I wasn't appreciative of what happened to them, about how they, most of them died off and their lands were taken. And
yeah.
I just wasn't. I mean, I don't feel like they would feel that way if they won. I don't think they would be having this kind of moral.
Right.
They would feel bad about it. I just feel like I didn't appreciate that enough. That I wasn't appreciative enough of how they were conquered, they were defeated, and they were kind of pushed off their land. And I mean, that was kind of, and Hugh, the way he said, it was always, we knew it was wrong while we were doing it. That was the thing that really stuck with me. Is because he said, because I said, well, this is just what they were doing. This is what the world was like. And
what was
said,
wrong
no,
about
that's
it?
Not true. What was wrong was that we came into land that they claimed that they were living on, and we went to war with them to occupy it, and then we pushed them out of the land.
And how is that wrong?
Well, like they said, imagine if like China came into California.
They're doing that
to go to war with us.
They're doing that.
I know, and like, but the thing is, just like, this is the rough part, because I oppose.
And is that wrong for China to do that?
I think it would be wrong. It'd be wrong for me. I would not agree with that if China was sending in their people and militarily occupying us and then pushing us back into Boston to Massachusetts.
If we're too weak to stop it, how is it wrong? They're trying to. They have a whole ton of people. I don't see how it's necessarily wrong for them to do it. It's wrong for us to let it happen.
I agree with that. I mean, I would say it's wrong. Is it wrong for all these people to flood across our border and make whites a minority? Is that wrong?
I say that is wrong but we're we're wrong for letting it happen. They're wrong
agree.
for disrespecting our laws and stuff like that. It's not good for their souls to be so selfish and not be man enough to build their own countries back up. But they're going the way that's convenient and easy for them, which is to take advantage of the weak country that's the weak but rich country that is offering them opportunities and welfare. And so we're wrong for letting it happen. I don't know that the colonialists were wrong for colonizing, though.
I mean,
because you weren't there. The people who are criticizing them weren't there, and you don't know the specifics of the agreements that they made and the reasons for the fighting that they fought specifically. You don't actually know. Stick with reality and present day, and the people who are acting like they're so moral, I bet you your friends or the people that you were talking to are immoral people themselves, and knowingly so.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking like prescription medication and they're jerking off and they're living with a girlfriend outside of marriage and they're doing all these things that I don't agree with.
Yeah, and
I just felt...
And they're cruel people, so they're acting all high and mighty, like they're so righteous, but they're worse people than the people who took over and conquered the Indians.
Yeah.
As far as any of us knows, they're no better, and in fact, they're probably worse because they're just letting their land get taken over. Well, they're doing just like what the Indians were allegedly doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just like a bump on a log, being bums.
Yeah. I'm glad I was able to talk with you about this because you're like I had there's nobody conservative really in my life.
I know, yeah.
But
you don't necessarily want to be able to win arguments and stuff and all that. I don't know if that's a temptation at all for you to try to get into the ego battle of arguments. But
because I felt very low down and I felt dumb. I didn't have anything to say.
That's fine, man. Yeah, that's totally fine.
I felt totally like defeated intellectually, and they were like, "Oh, this is like you're making like kindergarten arguments," and they were just like, "Oh, you aren't empathetic."
But empathy is a liberal word. You want actual love.
Know.
You want real love for people, not where you feel sorry for people who died hundreds of years ago and you don't exactly really know the circumstances of the death. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense.
I appreciate you, man. It's nice to hear from you again.
Thank you, Hank. It was nice talking to you, too.
Have you been consistent with J.C. Lee Peterson's silent prayer?
I've been more consistent, but not the way he would like me to.
And then, are you on your own now?
Oh, yeah. I've been living on my own for a little over a year now.
Right on. Well, it's great to hear from you, Robert.
Great to hear from you, too. Oh, can I ask one last question, and I'll make it quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So my job, the boss that gets me all my greatest work, he basically said, "Oh, I'm not going to give you more work unless you get the vaccine." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to take the vaccine."
Right.
And it's gonna get me less valuable work. I'm gonna be taking work now that's not as rewarding. But I think it's worth it to wait and see what happens because I don't know what the effects of it are going to be. Yeah,
I mean, that's your body and your life that you're talking about. I think that is your question, are you doing the right thing, or do you have a question about it, or you just want my reaction to that?
What would you do if you had a good job and the person that got you in the union has worked with you for a long time and he said, "Oh, well, I'm not going to hire you unless you get the vaccine."
Yeah.
He's kind of putting a guilt trip on you about it.
I definitely wouldn't respond to the guilt. I would decide I would look into the different vaccines if I wanted to consider it at all and see which one is even reasonable to get, if there is one that's reasonable to get. But you're a young man. I think you're in your early 20s, right? I don't know that it's even really advisable I'm not a doctor. I don't even know that it's advisable to go with that. You know what I mean? I think that you are right to, when in doubt about anything, when in doubt, don't do anything. So but when you know what to do, do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Hake. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I'll let you go. I'll let you get to
there are other opportunities out there. A lot of people are looking for workers, and maybe you'll do just fine with the lower opportunities. You continue to have a good attitude. You can probably understand where he's coming from, because there is a lot of political pressure in the business field, in basically every field, right? There's all this pressure to do this or that. So don't hold it against him, but
I don't.
He may see that you're such a good worker that you'll flourish even in the hard times. Like Joseph in the coat of many colors, his brothers sold him into slavery, and he thrived in slavery. Potiphar's wife accused him of rape or trying to rape her, and that was false. And he got thrown in jail, and he was the king of the jail. And then he got out of jail, and then he was the second in command in Egypt because he stayed with God.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's true, Hake.
Anyway, man, I appreciate you, Robert. Happy White History Month to you.
Oh, yeah, happy White History Month to you. I've been spreading the word.
And don't feel sorry for anybody, because that's not real love. Does that make sense?
I'll remember that. It does make sense, yeah.
Cool, man.
I don't think the Indians would want pity.
Right, yeah, the people who let them die with dignity.
Yeah. Makes sense to me, man.
Yeah.
My friends wouldn't say that, but it makes sense to me.
You would probably be better to the Indians than your friends would be.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, man.
Well, hey, I'll let you go, but thank you so much. I'll come
thank
to
you.
church soon.
It's great talking with you again. Take care. That's cool. Yikes. Let me get to Alex in California. Has an interesting question. What's up, Alex? How are you?
I am doing wonderful, Mr. Hake.
Oh, nice to hear from you again.
If you remember correctly, last time I called you, I was I went under that alias.
Right, A from Cali.
Then I commented on the YouTube video you uploaded, and I revealed that my full name.
You don't have to dox yourself. You don't have to dox yourself. Meaning you don't have to give your full name, but appreciate that.
Well, Alex is short for Alexander, and I had that idea you disagreed with to make the race machine. We agree or disagree on that. I still love you, man. I love all people.
What do you think of my counter to changing your race or changing people's race, making everybody white, so that whites don't become a minority? I don't think that's going to solve the hatred of the heart for many that people have. What do you think of that?
I agree with you. We could talk about it further if, like, you wanted to interview me on your show, which may not happen, and I would understand that.
No, I just wanted your quick response on the fact that changing the body doesn't change the evil heart.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, who's your favorite philosopher? Do you like Stefan Molyneux? Do you like Nietzsche? Who do you like?
I have never read Nietzsche or whatever his name is, because I'm not an atheist. No, I'm kidding. But I like Stefan Molyneux. Because he's alive, and he's a pro-Christian, even though he's an atheist or whatever he is. I don't know. He likes Christians. He loves Jesse Lee Peterson, and I like Molyneux. I haven't heard him in so long. I've almost out of sight, out of mind. YouTube disappeared him, and so did Twitter. It's kind of like these other whites who've been alienated and marginalized in their own countries. Of course, Molyneux is a Canadian, but yeah, I do like Molyneux. Nice of you to bring him up.
So if you want to interview me, I will. I can come over to Los Angeles. I understand if you're too busy, though. I understand that definitely.
I don't necessarily want to interview you, but I do enjoy your calls, man.
Thank you. I don't want to take up more of your time.
Do you have a favorite philosopher?
I like Molyneux also.
Okay. I think it's just pronounced Molyneux with no X.
Molyneux.
I don't think that it's you pronounce the X though.
Okay.
But I like hearing from you, Alex. Thank you, man. Happy White History Month to you.
You too. Happy White History Month.
And you're mostly white, you said? Is that what you said?
Well, if you came and saw me, you would find out.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Take care.
You.
All right, bye. Man, we have like less than 15 minutes left, and I have one line open. Let me show you guys this. I looked up this effeminate, and he just is effeminate. Antifa professor with a gun who said that he waved, and allegedly he said on Facebook, according to a screenshot that I've seen online, he said that he chased him off. Chased James Fields off with the, over there at the Charlottesville riot, Antifa riot against the whites, Black Lives Matter against the whites. Dwayne Dixon, a man, and I use the term loosely, in his late 40s. Here's a clip 10, I think, of him at a Durham rally, Durham, North Carolina. He's also a UNC professor, University of North Carolina. I guess I don't know if he's the one at Chapel Hill where they took down, is that where they took down Silent Sam in 2018? This is him, I guess, in some point in 2018 at a Antifa rally against supposed white supremacists, telling, bossing people around, or being an organizer. Listen to this and watch.
Some of you stay here. Some of you that are willing to put your down, go over there and get ready to get hit.
Dwayne Emil Dixon, charged with misdemeanors, weapons, because he's carrying a AR. Telling people where to go.
Sorry?
Organizing Antifa dummies.
I'd say, stay on this corner. Like, stay away from
Look at that communist. Misguided people. He's a skinny 40-something-year-old person. And here's clip 11, a puff piece by McClatchy, Herald Sun. And this piece it's a 3-minute clip. Headlined is "Protecting the Public from White Supremacists with a Semi-Automatic Rifle Illegal?" Excuse me, protecting the public from white supremacists? Let's talk about delusional mainstream media. That's them. Listen to this puff piece about this guy. Interview.
My name is Dwayne Dixon. Some of you may have seen me before. Some of you stay here. Some of you are willing to put your down.
Clearly I wouldn't have done it if I thought that, I wasn't within my rights and within the law.
Carrying a gun.
That's not really my style to go outside the law particularly.
So that was my background, and I graduated. I taught at Duke for 3 years, and I teach at UNC now in Asian Studies, and I teach a really wide range of things within that. But at the center of it, as an anthropologist, I'm really concerned about people. Like, how do people make sense of their lives, right? And I was really concerned about what was happening on those military bases I grew up on, what I saw happening in my own family, right? Like within our own doors, like what was the kind of feeling, the emotional tenor, the expectations for masculinity, for myself? Like what were the things that were actually happening to us and to me as an individual? So, this has really shaped my own experience, and when I discovered Redneck Revolt and I read up on it, I've always been around guns, so that as a sort of practical thing was fairly easy to accept. Having fought Nazi skinheads, having seen the way Nazi skinheads will move in on people and attack someone who's marked as queer, a woman, Puerto Rican kid, like someone's gonna have to step in. However I'm built, right? My Christian ethics, the understanding like you just don't you don't stand by and let other people get hurt, right? And that's just how I'm built, right? That's my ethical imperative, and however I as a person am wired, my personality, and that's a choice that I make and have made, right, throughout my adult life. So when I discovered Redneck, I was like, oh, this is something I can get behind. One, it's non-sectarian. I'm sick of vanguardism. I don't need to hear people tell me a party line, like this is how we get things done. But I also say, I'm not really thrilled to be on the streets of Durham with a semi-auto rifle, right? That's never my desire. I'd much rather do the things that we're accustomed to doing, which is taking space, showing that we as a collective can actually look out for one another. But I also recognize that we perhaps are in a moment where we might need to talk about other kinds of tactics. So hopefully we'll get to that later in this afternoon, but I want to turn it over to someone else that might want to talk. Jeff, Ben, Randy?
Weirdo.
I'm not concerned particularly in the sense that somehow my reputation is besmirched, because I think standing up to the KKK and standing up to fascism are things that all American citizens should take as basic tenets of our shared communities.
Misguided.
Officer Kelly, the deputy who drove me to the booking center, to the jail, was, really warm, and we had good conversations. I have no enmity towards people who are just doing their work. That's fine, And I'm also doing what I thought was my job as a citizen, That's up for debate. But I'm happy to have that debate.
Terrible, huh? Puff, talk about a puff piece with that Antifa flag on his hat. Talking about masculinity. And yes, he totally sounds not morally straight, and obviously he's on the immoral side, even though he thinks that he has Christian ethics. I don't know. I can't imagine that this guy's a Christian. And Redneck Revolt, by the way, is an Antifa group. So they're outright anti-American, anti-white, anti-Christian. They hate decent people. Yes, very not morally straight in his behavior, but he is indeed a family man. He's married to an Asian woman, apparently. I saw this picture of him with his Asian wife, apparently. This guy's in his late 40s skateboarding. That's pretty good. You can still skateboard in his late 40s, I guess. But, yeah, look at him with his mixed baby and Asian girlfriend, wife thing. Terrible, huh? Man. So concerned about people, but meanwhile dehumanizing the KKK and Nazis. Here's one last clip from August of that year in 2018 of him allegedly, even though charges were dropped, assaulting this editor-in-chief of Big League Politics. This is from the night, I believe the night that they toppled Silent Sam, who was, I think, a Confederate soldier or something like that. Listen to this clip. It's about a minute long, and it's kind of in the dark, so you can't really see what's going on. But you hear them talking and cussing, and this guy gets aggressive with this fellow human being, fellow person. Listen to this.
Dwayne, why did you chase James Fields with a rifle right before he crashed into those people?
Nazis and they're Confederate.
Why did you do that, dude?
One, you know it's a falsehood. You know it's a falsehood. It's a falsehood. It's a falsehood. It's a falsehood.
Are you gonna hit me?
No, but why are you running away?
You gonna hit me?
Take this down, please. You gonna hit me? Why are you such a coward? Why are you such a coward?
Why
are you a coward?
Yo.
Dwayne. No, he's just a coward.
I know he's a coward.
You can't even have a
I just asked you a
conversation.
question. You weren't having a conversation. You assaulted me, dude. You just assaulted me, brother.
Don't call me brother. You and I don't share any kinship.
Yes, we do. We're human beings. We're people of God. And you chased James Fields with a rifle right before he killed someone.
Yeah. What did he do?
He killed someone, you f***ing moron. Why was you chasing him with a rifle? Hey, how do you chase someone on foot?
You're all up in his face. Take your face and go away.
He admitted to it.
Dang. Just a journalist trying to do his job, because this guy allegedly, he admitted on a Facebook post, or bragged about it, chasing James Fields. And this guy was actually, according to a report that I read, unless I misunderstood it, he was a witness in the James Fields trial. Because the defense was saying this guy admitted to waving a gun and chasing off James Fields. James Fields being the guy in the Dodge Charger who drove into a crowd at the end of the Charlottesville riot, in which the Antifa and Black Lives Matter mostly were the aggressors attacking the whites who were there, who had a right to be there. They even had a permit to be there, the whites did. These people did not have any permit to be there. And assaulting, and the police did not stand in between. And Antifa was seen on video smacking this guy's car, James Fields' car. And according to this guy himself, he waved him on with his rifle. He chased him off with his rifle. Maybe he showed the rifle and that's how he got chased off. But then I don't know if he's obfuscating or he tried to hint, or the mainstream media tried to hint that, oh, James Fields didn't drive into the crowd until like an hour later. And he kept on driving by. I don't know if he didn't know how to get out of the city, if the streets were all blocked off and Antifa in every street or what. But I don't know. It's a falsehood. It's a falsehood. Why are you such a coward? Why are you such a coward? I wonder if his dad talked to him like that, or if he even knew his dad. What a mess. What a mess of a bunch of people, huh? Bunch of weak people judging each other over nothing. Self-righteous Antifa. Pathetic. Oh, man. Let me get to Tony in New Jersey. Tony, how are you?
Thank you, Hake.
Yeah.
Got my call. I was just listening to your last call, and he was just, he was making a lot of good points.
What good point?
What
good points?
No, about, he was just saying that he didn't feel, he said it's not right and wrong. It wasn't wrong for the colonization isn't wrong.
Right.
So all colonization isn't wrong, right?
I don't know about all colonization, but American colonization was not wrong.
Okay, so he was just feeling sorry about the Native American. He was basically saying you shouldn't feel sorry. That's not love.
Right.
So
because he didn't do anything wrong. He himself didn't do anything wrong. And second of all, feeling sorry for people.
You could feel empathy without having to have any kind of other motivations or it's okay to feel sad about something. I don't understand why you're saying it's not love.
But empathy,
he's not trying to love anything.
Empathy and sadness.
Why do you have to?
Empathy and sadness are not love.
Why does it have to be?
It may be
love?
okay to feel sad occasionally, right? If like your dad dies, you feel sad.
So you
feel sad for a few days.
Let me ask you a question.
But that's not love.
Do you enjoy eating food?
Yeah, sometimes. But that's not...
Now, if I tell you, well, it's not love, what you going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you, you're right, it's not love. It's food, and sometimes it'll kill you.
You can do that for everything. You can do that for everything. So,
exactly.
that's not love.
Right.
So I don't understand why you're telling somebody it's not love.
Because it's not love. It's very relevant to point that out.
Yeah, my shoe hurts. It's not love. My shoes are too small. It hurts. It's not love. So
well,
you see the point I'm trying to make? Why are you?
No, you're not making. You're not making any sense.
And you don't make that. Doesn't make sense. It's not love. Yes, because it's somebody feeling sad.
Feeling sad is not
love.
It's neither wise nor love nor logical.
It doesn't have to be logical.
Yes, it does.
It's sadness. Why
it's
does
pathetic
it have to
sadness.
have
You should not feel sorry for something that happened hundreds of years ago that you don't even know the full story.
So have you ever seen a sad movie?
Yes.
Do you feel sad?
Sometimes.
So then, why does it mean anything to you, or it's just a movie, right?
Right.
So why you just can't feel sad for something and just let it as it is? Why you have to say it's love?
Because he called in about it, and he
didn't call in about love. He called in. He felt sad about certain situations.
He called in. He was concerned about what the right and wrong of colonization.
Yes, and it was wrong. And
no, it was not wrong. What was wrong about it?
You're going to feel sad about something that's right?
You can feel sad about something that's right. That's just the way life is.
Give me an example. What you going to feel sad about something that's right?
Well, when I was a kid, I read in the Old Testament about God telling the Israelites to kill all the people in Jericho. Men, women, children, even the animals. I'm like, whoa, that feels a little bit, I don't know if I was sad. I was like, whoa. But I could imagine somebody feeling a little sad about that, but it was right. God told them to do that.
No, it wasn't a right of thing. That was a commandment from God.
And that makes it right.
No, it doesn't make it right or
Yes, it
wrong.
does.
It's a commandment.
Yes, it means
So
it's
God
right. What the heck? What's wrong with you? Do you believe? Do you even believe in God?
No.
Do you believe in love?
No, but it'd be
No?
funny because y'all be just making out these comments, and I don't even really think y'all just
Well, the point is,
think it through.
the point
It has
is,
so
those
many
people were
holes in a
making
lot of-
making emotional arguments, and love is about right and wrong. Emotions are not necessarily about right and wrong.
See, that's stupid. How is love right and wrong? That doesn't make no sense.
Love means loving what's right and doing what's right by people.
So if you have a baby, how do you show a baby love?
By taking
Showing
care
it
of
right
it.
and wrong?
Taking care of it and protecting it from
There you
evil.
go. Taking care of it.
That's not love.
It's not right
that's
and
not,
wrong.
That is right. The heck?
So you can't love a baby then?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying, how do you love a baby? When a mother has a baby, and so that's not love.
Mothers don't
baby?
love their babies.
So people don't feel love for their baby?
That's
ask
not,
anyone
love
in
isn't
your
a feeling,
corner,
dude.
Ask your mother, ask your brothers or sisters.
I've talked
if
to
they
my
have
mother.
Kids, ask them if they love
Ask
their
them.
baby. You can say no.
Axing is
it's
not
right.
love. Axing is violent. Anyway,
But you
I gotta
see
go,
how It
Tony.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, man. Come on now. You're smarter than that.
But you're not smart. That's why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't
You're
have
blind.
love.
You're blind.
I don't have love.
Anyway,
I'm not
I
smart.
gotta go, man. Nice talking with you.
Thanks.
Yeah, take care. Wow, Paul from North Carolina. Paul, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. You're coming in kind of rough.
One second. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's like popping. It's weird. It's strange.
Huh.
Anyway, let's try it. What's your question?
My school's making me get the vaccine or wear a mask.
What school are you going to? I mean, don't tell me what school you're going to. I mean, what is it, a college?
It's public school.
Oh, it's a public school. You a high schooler or something?
Yeah.
Oh. Are you old? And you don't want to do that. You're saying you don't want to do that? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Are you old enough to drop out if you wanted to drop out? Not that I'm recommending that, but are you old enough that you can drop out?
No.
Because after your sophomore year, I think you can drop out in California. I don't know. But anyway, man, maybe you should ask your father. You have your father around that you can ask him?
Yeah.
This hurts. You know what? Your phone is really messed up. I'm sorry. Ask your dad if you can. Can you ask your dad?
Yeah.
All right. Paul, man, your phone is really making weird noises. I can't really answer the question for you. I recommend he's about 15 years old. Oh, man. Yeah. See if your father will help you out. There are different ways if you really don't want to do it, and I can definitely sympathize. Maybe there's a way to I'm putting you're on hold right now. Maybe you can do a medical exemption or a religious exemption. Religious exemption, maybe I suggest. But anyway, guys, we are over time. I'll have to show you the Feminist Kids song on Monday. And William from the Bay Area in California, I cannot get to you. Donning Armor in California, I cannot get to you. And the rest of the callers, this has been the Hake Report. Enjoy At the End of It All by 90 Pound Wuss. Take care, guys.